decides who gets what and when. You can easily enough see how this kind of thing works by looking no further than your own body. Your body has many parts, limbs, organs, cells. But no matter how many parts you can name, there's still one body. It's exactly the same with Christ. By means of his one Spirit, we all said goodbye to our partial and piecemeal lives. We each used to independently call our own shots, but then we entered into a large and integrated life in which he has the final say. Right. This is what we proclaimed in word and action when we were baptized. Each of us is now a part of his resurrected body, refreshed and sustained at one fountain, his Spirit, where we all come to drink. The old labels we once used to identify ourselves, labels like Jew or Greek, slave or free, are no longer useful. We need something larger, more comprehensive. I want you to think about how all this makes you more significant, not less. A body isn't just a single part blown up into something huge. It's all the different but similar parts, arranged and functioning together. This is a model for understanding our lives together as a church. Every part dependent on every other part. The parts we mention and the parts we don't. The parts we see and the parts we don't. If one part hurts, every other part is involved in the hurt and in the healing. If one part flourishes, every other part enters into the exuberance. You are Christ's body. That's who you are. You must never forget this. Only as you accept your part of that body does your part mean anything. You're familiar with some of the parts that God has formed in this church, which is his body. Apostles, prophets, teachers, miracle workers, healers, helpers, organizers, those who pray in tongues. But it's obvious by now, isn't it, that Christ's church is a complete body and not a gigantic unidimensional part. It's not all apostle, not all prophet, not all miracle worker, not all healer, not all prayer in tongues, not all interpreter in tongues. And yet some of you keep competing for so-called important parts. But now I want to lay out a far better way for you. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. As soon as his meal was finished, he insisted that the disciples get in the boat and go on ahead to the other side while he dismissed the people. With the crowd dispersed, he climbed the mountain so he could be by himself and pray. He stayed there alone late into the night. Meanwhile, the boat was far out to sea when the wind came up against them and they were battered by the waves. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them walking on the water. They were scared out of their wits. "A ghost," they said, crying out in terror. Jesus was quick to comfort them. "Courage, it's me. Don't be afraid." Peter, suddenly bold, said, "Master, if it is really you, call me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come ahead." Jumping out of the boat, Peter walked on the water to Jesus. But when he looked down at the waves churning beneath his feet, he lost his nerve and started to sink. He cried, "Master, save me." Jesus didn't hesitate. He reached down and grabbed his hand. Then he said, "Faint heart, what got into you?" The two of them climbed into the boat, and the wind died down. The disciples in the boat, having watched the whole thing, worshiped Jesus, saying, "This is it. You are God's Son for sure." This is the gospel of the Lord. What does it mean to give somebody a hand? Help. Okay. How are some ways? What are some ways that we give a person a hand to help them? Okay, somebody's moving in the neighborhood, you grab things and help carry in. Okay, what are some other ways we give people a hand to help? Helping the elderly, sure. Okay, all right. Okay, Band-Aid or maybe a pack of ice or, something to help the hurt. Okay, what else? Anything else? Yeah. Well, in our story today, Peter, all the disciples were afraid when they saw Jesus on the water. Peter recovered pretty quickly. He said, "Let me come to you on the water." And Jesus said, "Okay, come on, let's go. Here we go." So Peter starts over there to walk to Jesus, and then what happens? What does he do? Huh? Well, he starts walking on water, but what happens? What does he do? Huh? Well, how do you know he doubts Jesus? What was he focused on instead of Jesus? The churning water scared him. The things he saw around him scared him. So he lost focus on Jesus. And what happened? He started, pay attention over here now. He started what? Sinking. And Jesus, he yelled out to Jesus, "Help me," right? And Jesus did what? He gave him a hand. Well, you know, that's a lot like it is in our life. Right? You're getting ready to go to school. Any of you starting a new school this year? Who's starting a new school? Aha! So that first day, I know you're going to have introductions and all that stuff. When you go there, you're going to say, I wonder what this world's going to be like. Are they going to like me here? Is everything going to go okay? Am I not going to get lost between classes or confused? Or how's it going to be here, see? So I hope somebody is there and say, "Hey, give me your hand. I'll help you." Okay? So that's what it is. When we get focused on things around the situation and we get afraid, then we start having less faith. Our faith disappears or doesn't help us as much. So it's important to remember that happens to all of us. You all think that all these people always have faith. They don't get nervous or concerned. They don't get distracted by things. That's crazy. We all do that. It's human. So what we have to do is remember when people are that way, when they're nervous, when they've lost focus, we have to be willing to put out a hand and say, "Come on, let me give you a hand." And I need a hand because I get nervous about what I see out there in the world. Man, there are people doing crazy things. People get shot, people get run over, there's all kind of stuff. So I need a hand from you. I want you to give me a hand using your hand to help others who are struggling with these things and who are afraid and who are not keeping focus on Jesus and trying to say a word in the world that helps people when they need help. Because we know somebody who helps, who puts out his hand and helps us get up and keep our focus. So I hope you will start extending your hand to people who are dealing with those kind of things and help them. Because that's what we need to do, because Jesus extended his hand to us. Especially, he did it on the cross. But he does it other times too. Thanks.
Yo soy uno de los directores en el Patronato Internacional de Hogar Infantil. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Susan Otto, and I am currently a member of the International Board of Directors for Hogar Infantil. I've been visiting Hogar for 10 years, but Hogar has been around much longer. In 1963, an American expat named Nick Anderson started feeding the street children in the city of San Cristobal in the state of Chiapas, Mexico. Several years later, Hogar Infantil was established with the help of his American friends and donors, and they were able to purchase about 37 acres of property in Ocosocuautla de Espinosa. Over the years, it has grown from a small group of boys to today, where they're serving between 60 and 75 boys and girls between the ages of 3 and college. This is not a typical orphanage. Very few of these children are actually orphans. What they have in common is living in poverty. For these children, Hogar means a safe place with 3 meals a day, a warm bed, access to medical and dental care. It means access to education. Hogar's model is breaking the cycle of poverty through education. Even attending public school can be costly in Mexico. There are fees to register your child. You have to buy uniforms and school supplies. Most of these children would not be able to attend school for more than a few years if they were not living in Hogar. For some of these students, there isn't even a school in their town to serve them. When they finish elementary school, they would have to start helping their family earn a living or find transportation many, many miles to a middle school or a high school in another city. Here at Hogar, they are bused right into town to attend classes during the school year. At Hogar, we can truly nurture these budding students to meet their full potential. These preschool students went to a special private school in town because they came from very sad, dire situations. They were very far behind their peers and would not have been ready for kindergarten without this extra help. Now they will attend the local elementary school with everyone else. Paola just graduated from high school, and she was able to gain admission to a public university in nearby Tuxtla Gutierrez. She'll be studying gastronomy and hopes to become a chef. She has submitted to us a budget for her scholarship, including her chef uniform, class uniform, knife kit, registration fees, tuition, bus transportation into the city and meals during the day. It only costs about $500 a month. That's astounding. While that's very cheap by American standards, imagine having 70 children that you need to send to school. The American Board of Directors sends down a monthly stipend of about $11,000 a month to cover everything from school fees to clothing and food, to the salaries of the house parents and the director who lives on site. School is only part of your job when you live with so many brothers and sisters at Hogar. Everyone has chores. There are pigs, sheep, chickens, ducks, turkeys, and rabbits that need to be fed and cared for. Concrete floors all over need to be swept and mopped. Food needs to be prepared, dishes need to be washed. Clothing here is washed by hand in cement laundry sinks. Don't worry, we don't really make Alejandra wash her own clothes. She's our youngest resident, and she wanted to help the older girls while they were doing their laundry. The kitchen and dining hall were completely renovated this year. The floor was dug up, leaking pipes were replaced, new sinks, new stove, new countertops. Several women are employed as cooks, but the children take turns on a rotating basis to serve the food and do the dishes. Any leftover food, which is quite rare, goes to the pigs. Each child has a job. Each one plays a role. Everyone pitches in to get the job done. Each child looks after the next youngest. No role is more important than the others. When a small child peels the corn one leaf at a time, he's still peeling corn for dinner. His contribution is not any less than the person who boils the corn, or the person who serves the corn, or the person who washes the dishes, or the person who feeds the corn cobs to the pigs. Everyone has done their part. So what's my part? Well, I waltz into town for 2 weeks every summer. I bring big suitcases full of used clothing and shoes. I bring puzzles and games. So what does all this have to do with my faith? Hogar is not a religious organization. It just so happens that all of us on the International Board of Directors are Christian. We start all of our meetings with prayer and we invite God to guide our work. But we do not actively preach to the children who live there. Many of these children come to Hogar with a religious background, and we will encourage them to continue that. Many kids are driven into town each week to attend different church services. When we look back at the second lesson today and think about the parts of the body and the roles that we are called to in God's mission, I think about why God has brought me to Hogar. For the past 10 years, I've been visiting and raising money for them. But is that really what God called me to do? Maybe that was just the start. My plan was to learn Spanish and maybe hang out with some cool kids, travel a little, see if I could spread some good. I think I've done all that. While I'm there, I like to write my thank you notes to people who have donated while I'm sitting outside where the kids are playing. It's a good opportunity for me to tell the kids a little bit more about you guys here. Why are you writing them notes? Well, they gave me money for you guys. Why would they do that? It's a bit of an opportunity to talk about my church family and what it means to be a Christian. I have a new opportunity here with Hector. Hector just turned 18. He's hoping to be an English teacher one day. And now that he knows enough Spanish, or he knows enough English and I know enough Spanish, we can start talking about some bigger things in life. Hector's struggling with his faith right now. He's asking questions about my faith. We've been chatting on Facebook Messenger, and we were talking last night. He wanted to know what I was doing. I told him I was working on a sermon for church. He was pretty amazed by that. Talking about my faith doesn't come naturally for me, and it's even more challenging in another language. I'm working on it. Maybe that's what God's plan is for my life. I don't know, I'm still learning. This year was the 50th anniversary of Hogar. I've only been going for 10 years, but even in that time, we've seen amazing changes. We had a big celebration that turned into a family reunion of sorts. On the left is a picture of Alfredo in elementary school when I met him. Now he's 18 years old, he's married and has a child. He has a job and he's able to support his family. He's a fantastic success story. Was anything I did that made him a success? I had the tiniest of roles in his success. But 1 Corinthians tells us that each part counts. What part can you do? Not everyone wants to travel to a different country. Not everybody wants to work with children. I would encourage you to find something that you can do locally. Something small that you can do to make a difference. Remember, every part counts. Thank you to everyone who donated clothing or shoes or financially this year. It's never too late. Talk to me after the service if you'd still like to contribute. Thank you.